All right, everybody, talking about part 5, fish and seafood. Now, I am not a fish or seafood eater, but very important knowledge to know if you are. To make an intelligent choice of fish at the supermarket, you have to know more than you could possibly imagine about nutrition, fish toxicology, and the life cycle and ecology of fish. What kind of fish it eats, what it eats, where it was caught, and whether it was farmed or wild fish. If you are at all concerned about environmental issues, you will also want to know how it was caught and raised and whether its stocks are sustainable. As a group, fish are excellent sources of protein, vitamins, and minerals. Their fats are largely unsaturated and are especially rich in omega-3s, particularly EPA and DHA. These omega-3s show up in the brain and are believed critical to the normal development of the nervous system. More than that, some research suggests that EPA and DHA might prevent the blood clots and irregular heartbeats that often lead to heart attacks or strokes. The Fish Committee does not say, however, how you are supposed to know which fish are rich in EPA and DHA, nor does it offer much help with figuring out which fish are high or moderate in mercury, which is something you need to watch out for fish. All seafood is contaminated with methylmercury. It's a toxic substance that is dangerous for developing fetuses, especially during the early months of pregnancy. The amounts of methylmercury in fish vary widely, and it's a good idea to avoid eating the most contaminated kinds. Unfortunately, figuring out how to follow advice about methylmercury is your problem to solve. They don't like to tell you. You got to figure it out. You have to remember which fish are high in methylmercury so you can avoid them. Fish are not also the only sources of dietary omega-3s. Chicken and eggs naturally have small amounts of EPA and DHA. Plants contain omega-3s in the form of ALA, which converts to EPA and DHA. And the better plant sources are flax and flax oil. You can also get omega-3s by taking fish oil supplements or DHA from algae. I take DHA from algae. It helps to keep omega-3s and fish in perspective. Omega-3s may be good for the heart, but so are other nutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and fiber in veggies, nuts, and seeds. Fish are excellent sources of many nutrients, but you can also get these again from other foods. Fish is not essential and necessary in the diet if you don't need it, like if you don't want it to be. Like I said, I do not eat fish. It just turns me off, and we never found out if I was allergic, so I just never decided to eat it, and it smells weird to me. But that's besides the point. It's not essential for a healthful diet, and there's no compelling reason, again, for you to eat it if you don't want to. The PCBs in fish cause the same type of dilemma as the one involving omega-3s and methylmercury, but with one unpleasant addition. All fish have PCBs, but farmed fish, those fed fish feed and fish oil, have more PCBs. This is because farmed fish need proteins and fats to grow, and they grow better when those nutrients come from fish feed and fish oils. But these feeds contain high concentrations of PCBs. All fish are contaminated with PCBs and similar chemicals that are best avoided. These chemicals are organic hydrocarbons, usually with chlorine or bromine attached to it. They include especially nasty agricultural pesticides and dioxins from industrial wastes and emissions. Although most of these chemicals have been discontinued or banned for years, they persist in the environment and thoroughly pollute streams, lakes, and oceans. And at high levels of exposure, such as those experienced by victims of industrial accidents, they cause severe problems with skin, reproduction, development, and behavior. A safe level of intake is not really known. When you eat fatty fish like albacore tuna, herring, or mackerel, precisely the ones highest in omega-3s, you also get a relatively high dose of PCBs. Organic seafood also means the same as natural on meat when we talked about that last week. However, the seller chooses to define it. The 3 fish guide producers belong to the Alliance, and so do a long list of other environmental and food advocacy and professional associations. These are listed under www.seafoodchoices.com. Under the auspices of the Alliance, the 3 groups got together and now produce a single guide that addresses health as well as environmental concerns. They call the Unified Guide the Fish List. This guide simplifies seafood choices into green, which is the enjoy, and to red, which is the avoid, which makes it a lot easier for you to pick and choose fish as it kind of goes. Now, salmon's a really good one that I'm just going to point out here. Never eat farmed salmon. Wild caught only. Wild caught only. Just, most of you probably already know that, but just in case you didn't, wild caught salmon only. And only sometimes. As a side note to fish and seafood, because I know some of you eat salmon, and that is one of the things. Never eat farmed. It's terrible, terrible, terrible for you, and your body and the environment. Just very bad overall. Wild caught salmon. Anyways, any questions on fish and seafood? Feel free to drop a comment below.